going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Sav Show. My name is Civilian, and I am talking today about a morning routine that I borrowed from a millionaire. Okay, let's dive straight into it. So I wake up around 7:30 a.m., slightly hungover, but full of the kind of energy and optimism required to fuel an entire day of work and play. I sit down on my computer at 7:40 a.m., open my Mac to an empty page and start tapping away, tapping away. Admittedly, there's not a whole lot to glean from the above opening lines unless you have a very observant eye. Let's rewind a second and see if you can catch it this time. I wake up around 7:30 a.m. Important. Slightly hungover, but full of the kind of energy and optimism required to fuel an entire day. I sit down at my computer at 7:40 a.m. Are we catching it? Did we catch it? Are we with me? All right. Sav, what are you talking about? Let's cut to the chase, baby. Okay, fine. What I'm making is this point. I woke up and went straight to writing. I went straight to work. And here's the important part. I did it intentionally. Okay, I didn't wake up to a distraction and a myriad of other ways to delete the first hour of my day, not to journaling, shower, breakfast, gym, coffee, none of the above. And why is that important/relevant, you might ask, right? Well, because it's not something I have ever done before or considered doing, not in the last 3 years, not even in the last year, maybe not even 6 months ago, okay? I was like most people in that I thought I had to have the perfect morning routine and countless hours of preparing myself physically and mentally for the day ahead, and that it was the key to unlocking my success. I was right for a period of time. Morning routines serve a purpose to an avoidant person trying to gain control. They also serve as a procrastination. They also serve as procrastination covered productivity if you're hoping to avoid work. Of course, I wasn't aware of this until I stumbled upon a brilliant Mosification, an idea founded in Alex Hormozi's content. He talks about it more in the video that I'll attach below, but I'll summarize it here with this very point, right? What if, and this is a quote from Hormozi in this video, what if you woke up and immediately did less of the non-lever pulling activities and more of the lever pulling work? I.e., what if you got up and got straight to work instead of fart-assing around for the first 90 minutes of each day? It shook me. This was not an idea I had ever been introduced to before. I had to try it out immediately. So I did, kinda. Over the last couple of months, I had been cutting down on my morning routine, right? If you follow me on Instagram, you may have noticed less of my morning gratitude posts on my story. Not because I don't still practice gratitude, because I do. I have made a conscious effort to run toward the pain and eliminate everything else. So everything that may have appeared as fluff or things that aren't direct work, I've been trying to cut down on. The pain in this case being my work, the unavoidable, life-altering work that cannot be fudged. For me right now, that's writing and content. So after a few failed attempts, I finally got it to stick. And if you're reading this post or listening to this podcast, then you're reading that work, right? As I mentioned in the opening lines, I woke up somewhat groggy from the previous night's bottle of rosé, rolled out of bed and opened my laptop to ConvertKit, which is where I send my emails from. I then proceeded to bang out the majority of this newsletter that you are now listening to and or reading. The feeling was exceptional. I only got 30 minutes out, but it was enough. It was enough to prove to myself that I have evolved, right? And I'll explain a little bit more of that in a second. My stages of evolution so far with color highlights to emphasize the levels of maturity and excellence. I will put a screenshot of these here right now, but I'll talk you through them if you're listening on audio. So number one, lacking any control, self-belief, or discipline. Number two, habitual journaling, note-taking, building confidence, and crystallizing my direction and purpose. Number three, wake up, get straight to work, the most important work, the work that cannot be fudged or fabricated. So fortunately, this skill of instinctively acting in my best interest and prioritizing the thing that needs to be done, i.e. procrastination detector, extends to other areas of my life. Whether pulling the trigger on a conversation, action, decision, gym session, social event, or bad choice, the same applies. Cut the fat, focus with intent on the main lever pulling activity. No more fluff. Get straight to the point. What's the work that needs to be done? Aim, fire, go do that work and do it now. Anyway, I'm excited for this realization and this next level of evolution for me and my creative work. The ability to get to it and focus on going deep will no doubt set me on a path toward my best work yet. Give this morning routine a try. Let me know what you think. All right, so that's the newsletter that I sent out on the Sunday Sav last week. If you're not subscribed to the Sunday Sav, you can do so below. Jump in there. I'm writing to my audience of 140 odd people every single Sunday. It's not growing at all, but if you want to get involved, you can. I think my writing's pretty good. It's insightful. I talk about my process, my journey, and the fact that I'm learning about myself and how to conduct myself day in and day out. So if you wanna help improve yourself and your relationship with yourself and your ability to act in your best interests more often than not, then subscribe to my newsletter. Jump in there and learn something every single Sunday. So getting to a little bit of a riff on this particular topic. This one was a really cool one for me because once I figured out, once I kind of addressed this next step of evolution, it was so obvious, but also so not obvious, I guess, because as I kind of articulated, step one was me lacking any control, self-belief, or discipline. So this comes from years of trauma and kind of like avoiding the work and being a person that was unreliable, being a person that didn't show up, being a person that was avoidant, wanted the easy route. I talked about this in previous newsletters. Like I was a person who craved the easy life, the soft life. Anytime I saw a challenge, I would run in the opposite direction as quick as I possibly could because I didn't want to feel the pain associated with any of that. I wanted comfort. I wanted all the comforts of the modern life, to not do hard work, to eat fast food, to consume quickly, and to not go deep on anything. So that's where I was, okay? And I knew that eventually I would have to bring myself out of that place. Maybe I didn't think about this consciously, but there was this awareness that the habituality of my process of feeling and reacting and how little thinking I did in between those things, it was going to continue to be this long and winding journey for me. So if I didn't do something about it, I was looking at a pretty fucking tough stint as a human being. The next 30, 40 years were going to be pretty shitty. So I knew I had to start collecting data and I knew I had to get real about where I was actually at. So that's where step 2 came into play. I started journaling every morning. At the beginning of the pandemic, I would sit down and I had this big diary, and I would just write down what I actually got done, how many hours I actually spent on the things that were important, and how I felt about it. That also included gratitude journaling, which I started doing every single day, and just generally trying to build up data and a sense of who I am, what I represent, and what I'm good at, and what I want to be. So that basically has been taking up the majority of the last 2 years where I've just built this practice of journaling and note taking and not running away from ideas, thoughts, or pain, right? So that served the purpose. And that's why I say at the beginning of this newsletter, morning routines, and best practices and journaling and all that stuff. Whilst I do understand the point Alex Hormozi makes about how they're just procrastination wrapped in productivity, I do think they have a place. They have a place for a person like me who was avoidant. And, I needed a morning routine to stabilize my life. My life was chaotic, but everything all over the place all of the time. And I needed routine, I needed structure, and I needed, some amount of kind of being grounded in reality to realize who I actually was and what the fuck I was actually doing. And once I got that information and I was introduced to this new idea by Hormozi, it was okay, I've done that. Now I can just evolve and I can get straight to the work, because the work is the work is the work, and the work is it needs to be done. It's as simple as that. So all my fluffing around and all my centering and warming up and all these things that I would do, whilst they did serve a purpose to kind of get me on track and get me out of that place of habitual kind of like lack of self-belief and discipline, they were tools, and they were only tools. They were tools to kind of allow me to evolve and progress. And now I am ready for that next step of evolution, where doing the actual work is the most important thing. And I know what work I have to do, and there's no reason I shouldn't be getting straight to it, right? I wake up, I know what I have to do. I have to get to writing, content creation. That's it. That's my work. That is my job. And so getting up and doing anything other than that is kind of like, I'm just wasting time essentially. There's ways to justify it. There's ways to make sense of it. But the reality is my work is the most important thing. And when I get up, that's what I should be doing straight out the gate. And the more time I can spend on that, the more successful I am likely to be. It doesn't guarantee success, but it means that I'm more likely and most likely to gain success. And as Hormozi says, I'll re-quote him here. What if you woke up, and this is while he's making this video, he poses this idea, because he basically had friends that would talk about all these things that they would do to build the perfect morning routine. And him being a very successful, wealthy person is like, what if you woke up and immediately did less of the non-lever pulling activities and more of the lever pulling work? So non-lever pulling activities is gym, is coffee, is breakfast, is stretching, is journaling, is meditation, is going for a walk, is having a shower, playing, hanging out with your partner, whatever. All of these, they're all beautiful things. Don't get me wrong. But he's saying, what if I just did less of them and more work? Would I be more productive? Would I actually get more work done? Would I get more of the important work done? Probably. And if you get more of the more important work done more often, then you're probably going to be slightly more ahead, or if not, much more ahead of the person who does more of the non-lever pulling activities first thing in the day, when you're probably going to be most productive. So yeah, it was a wild, life-altering idea that I got from Hormozi. And since then, I have tried to, I have made it a priority on most days. So now when I wake up, I literally go straight from my bed over here to my laptop here, and I start writing either my newsletter, either I'm writing tweets, either I'm editing content, whatever it is, whatever the work is, I get up and I get straight to it. So yeah, that's the brilliant millionaires routine that I borrowed from Alex Hormozi. And yeah, let me know what you thought of that one, guys. If you've tried it, or if you're where you're at in your journey. Obviously, everyone's different. It took me a couple of years to go from no discipline, no belief, to being able to get straight to my work and not avoiding it. And in the process of getting there, I tried a bunch of different things, and eventually just realized, which is where I'm at now, that getting straight to the work is the productivity hack. That's it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. So yeah, let me know where you're at in your journey. And if you have any thoughts or questions, comments or concerns on what I've just talked about. But if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, please drop a subscription by clicking the button below. Like this video. If you could do that, that'd be amazing. Drop a comment if you have any questions. And if you want to receive the Sunday Sav every Sunday to your newsletter, to your inbox, you can subscribe to that below. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in. Go try the morning routine of Alex Hormozi, and let me know how you go. But otherwise, I'll see you on next week's episode of The Sav Show. Let's go.